Have you ever heard of Candyman?
No.
Candyman. We're not talking about Willy Wonka here, we're talking about one of the most iconic horror villains of the 90s. Based on a story by Clive Barker, the film is set in Cabrini Green, an area of Chicago that was full of poverty and organized crime. It centers around a college student named Helen who comes to the area researching the legend of Candyman for her thesis. Candyman is a ghostly killer with a hook for a hand that is said to appear when you say his name 5 times in a mirror.
Candyman?
Candyman.
I remember hearing about the legend before I ever heard of the movie. Kids in school were talking about it. I distinctly remember one of my friends telling me that somebody did the Candyman thing in the mirror and died. Sure enough, one of the school bathrooms had a mirror missing and there was a hole behind it. Nobody ever wanted to go in that bathroom. Giving the movie an urban legend kind of feel helps to localize it and make it seem like anybody could meet their own Candyman. Candyman's backstory is a violent and cruel one. He was the victim of a racist mob. After falling in love with a plantation owner's daughter, his hand was sawed off and he was covered in honey and stung to death by bees. As a ghost, he's a similar character to Freddy Krueger, where the fear of him is what keeps him going. The urban legend itself is what gives him his power.
Do you believe in me?
The story of an undead character who wants a human sacrifice is very much like The Mummy, how he wants to take Helen into his realm.
Come with me and be immortal.
It also reminds me of Phantom of the Opera because he's a character who lives in his own underground world and can be grotesque but somehow alluring.
Surrender to me now, and he shall be unharmed.
The plot takes many more twists and turns, which I won't spoil. The urban setting is excellent because it's so grim and real. It's a place that's neglected and falling apart. A gothic horror film would be characterized by castles and crumbling ruins, but Candyman has a look that modernizes that, it's contemporary and enhances the film in its own way. Tony Todd is great as Candyman. Just looking at him standing there is so imposing and badass, just like seeing an image of Dracula with his cape. It's immediately classic. His booming voice sounds like it's not coming from his mouth, but instead somehow going straight into your brain.
Be my victim.
The music is unnerving. It conjures up a feeling of dread. Watching the movie from start to finish is an experience that is deeply disturbing, not by grotesque shock value, but by emotion. This is one of the essential horror films of the 90s. In a decade that was all about spoofs, when everyone was making fun of horror films and the movie industry was almost embarrassed to try to scare us, Candyman is a legitimate scary movie.